I'm curious if you want to. I mean, there's a lot we can touch on with the broader movement, or we could dig deeper into kind of dance music and what we can be doing in dance music and try to talk about that. I don't know. I don't know what you want to focus on.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I personally this week, what's been at the front of my mind is this defunding the police and abolishing the police. What that means. It's a hashtag now we're seeing a lot and kind of digging into that. I don't know if that's something you've been thinking about, but
I mean,
it's
I think, I mean, my ideas with the defunding the police is I definitely think the police are overly funded, as do I feel the military are. But I'm
Yeah,
also on
absolutely.
the side that I have people in my family who are basically in the police and they're good officers. I don't think all cops are bad cops. And I've had times in my life where I need to call the fucking cops, right? And like cops are all right when they're on your side. And, there's like, it's horrible that like all the situations that have happened, and there are an enormous amount of bad police and white supremacists who've infiltrated the police system, and horrible district attorneys, the for-profit prison system. There's so many different layers there. The war on drugs that disproportionately affect minorities, and at all levels. However, at the same time, I think it's naive to believe that we're going to live in a better society if we got rid of all the cops on the streets.
so what I've been learning about this, right, is like so abolish is like the end goal, right?
Yeah,
But there's many steps leading to this, right? So
yeah,
like
yeah,
the idea is we want to abolish prisons. We don't want people to be in prisons. We want people to be rehabilitated so they can go back to being functional in society and be better people. We don't want a police department. We want there to be resources so people don't need to steal and don't need to cause violence and don't need to do all these things that the police are supposed that the police are built on protecting us from, right?
yeah.
So that's I think what I've learned from this, because my first reaction obviously is like, how do you have that? How do you abolish the police? How's that possible? We need the police.
I think this kind of goes back into a structure which Europe has conquered, or Scandinavia, let's say, in many ways. When the police I've watched a lot of interviews talk about the fact that the police right now are overextended, right? They have to deal with mental health. They have to deal with, crime. They have to deal with finding dogs. Because every system has been systematically defunded and taken away from society, the public, right? Like I find when you live in a socialist country or semi-socialist country like England, like you're saying, when people don't have to go through such lengths to survive, then obviously there's a lower rate on crime. You look at Canada, even there's much lower rates of violent crime because people don't have to go through so many extreme kind
But
of.
look, even in the U.S., only 5% of crime is violent crime.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
even with all this,
it's part of the system to make us fearful of each other, though, as well. It's like that's part of the whole thing. The mega predator, the guy, the black guy or the Mexican looking to get after you. That creates a lot more power to the police and to the system as a whole. I think a lot of what's happening right now is smoke and mirrors. In the terms of fear and effect.
Definitely. This is a good time. We have a chart.
Yeah, there's a documentary director. You guys remember Cocaine Cowboys? The guy's name's Billy Corbin. He's here in Miami, and on his Instagram, he posted the operating budget by department. There's a pie chart, so we can see exactly what's going on with how the funding is getting spread around.
You need some binoculars to read this one.
Yeah, we're gonna see the little things say things like human resources, planning, human services, code compliance, and these things are all around the $5 to $10 million.
This is the city of Miami.
This is the city of Miami, and obviously Miami's got a lot of problems. It's like this is like a microclimate. It's like its own little island within the United States, but innovation and technology, 14 million, real estate, 11 million, or what did it say, 13 million. Public works gets about 25 million. Waste removal, 40 million. But then, police department here in Miami is $265 million annually.
Exactly. So that's where it comes back to defunding some of the benefits of this. So they don't buy military trucks, like all these things, and putting them towards education. Obviously, a more educated society is a society that commits less crime, but like this also comes back to the whole systemic issues of why the system is in place that is it today, and why these things are funded. It's crazy that we're defunding, like schools and grannies to get, like healthcare, but we're able to add so much a larger budget into the overall
for police to buy basically military weapons for their local police department.
What do you think?
I wonder how much money got spent on all these body cameras, how much taxpayer dollars got spent on this, and it didn't really inhibit police brutality.
This is actually, when I was digging into this stuff, there's reformist reforms versus abolitionist steps in policing is one way to look at this, right? Reformist reforms are doing things like, body cameras, community policing, more training, right? And the question is, you got to say, do these things increase the police budget or decrease the police budget, right? So reformist reforms like body cameras, community policing, more training, civilian review, they all increase the budget. They also challenge the notion that police are increasing safety. Like they don't challenge the notion that police are increasing safety. And they increase the scale of policing, not reduced it. Whereas like for the abolitionist idea is, suspending the use of paid administrative leave for cops under investigation, which actually reduces funding, or withholding pensions and not rehiring cops involved in excessive force, which reduces funding.
Oh, sorry to cut you off, but again, back to Miami. Miami put out an advertisement that said, "Hey, are you like an asshole cop that got fired by your department because you were, violent during these protests?" Miami said, "We'll hire you."
Yeah, that did just happen. I'm gonna get a water, guys. 1 second. Phil, how do you feel about this whole conversation of defunding the police?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of education that we all have to do to really understand how all that's going to work. I mean, scrutiny about the budget, like Eli, like you're saying, like if there's certain things we can do to decrease the budget and certain things that are going to increase the budget, I mean, maybe there's a middle ground somewhere. But, I don't know if getting rid of the entire police force is like the move. I don't know if with training and with, more resources to help police de-escalate and, I don't know, navigate these situations or to stop hiring faulty cops, if that's the solution, it's kind of just like, it's a toss up, and there's so much, I think, time that needs to be put into seeing how things will play out,